Today we're continuing to read The Pilgrim's Progress. When the interpreter had done, he takes them out into his garden again, and had them to a tree, whose inside was all rotten and gone, and yet it grew and had leaves. Then said Mercy, What means this? This tree, said he, whose outside is fair, and whose inside is rotten, is that to which many may be compared that are in the garden of God, who with their mouths speak high in behalf of God, but indeed will do nothing for him, whose leaves are fair, but their heart good for nothing, but to be tinder for the devil's tinder box. Now supper was ready, the table spread, and all things set on the set on the board. So they sat down and did eat when one had given thanks. And the interpreter did usually entertain those that lodged with him with music at meals. So the minstrels played. There was also one that did sing, and a very fine voice he had. His song was this. The Lord is only my support, and he that doth me feed. How can I then want anything whereof I stand in need? When the song and music were ended, the interpreter asked Christiana what it was that first did move her to betake herself to a pilgrim's life. Christiana answered, First, the loss of my husband came into my mind, at which I was heartily grieved, but all that was but natural affection. Then after that came the troubles and pilgrimages of my husband into my mind, and also how unkindly I had behaved to him as to that. So guilt took hold of my mind, and would have drawn me into the pond to drown myself, but that, just at the right time, I had a dream of the well-being of my husband, and a letter sent by the king of that country where my husband dwells, to come to him. The dream and the letter together so wrought upon my mind that they forced me to this way. But met you with no opposition afore you set out of doors. Yes, a neighbor of mine, one Mrs. Timorous, she was akin to him that would have persuaded my husband to go back for fear of the lions. She all to be fooled me for, as she called it, my intended desperate adventure. Correction, she all to be fooled me for, as she called it, my intended desperate adventure. She also urged what she could do. Correction, she also urged what she could to dishearten me from it. The hardship and troubles that my husband met with in the way. But all this I got over pretty well. But a dream that I had of two ill-looked ones, that I thought did plot how to make me fail in my journey, that hath troubled me much. Yea, it still runs in my mind, and makes me afraid of every one that I meet, lest they should meet me to do me a mischief, and to turn me out of my way. Yea, I may tell my lord, though I would not have everybody know it, that between this and the gate by which we got into the way, we were both so sorely attacked that we were made to cry out murder. And the two that made this attack upon us were like the two that I saw in my dream. Then said the interpreter, Thy beginning is good, thy latter end shall greatly increase. So he addressed himself to Mercy, and said unto her, And what moved thee to come hither, sweetheart? Then Mercy blushed and trembled, and for a while continued silent. Then said he, Be not afraid, only believe, and speak thy mind. So she began, and said, Truly, sir, my lack of knowledge is that which makes me wish to be in silence. and that also that fills me with fears of coming short at last. I cannot tell of visions and dreams as my friend Christiana can, nor know I what it is to mourn for my refusing the advice of those that were good relations. What was it then, dear heart, that hath prevailed with thee to do as thou hast done? Why, when our friend here was packing up to be gone from our town, I and another went accidentally to see her. So she knocked at the door and went in. When we were within, and seeing what she was doing, we asked her what was her meaning. She said she was sent for to go to her husband, and then she up and told us how she had seen him in a dream, dwelling in a wonderful place among immortals, wearing a crown, playing upon a harp, eating and drinking at his prince's table, and singing praises to him for bringing him thither, and so on. Now methought while she was telling these things unto us, my heart burned within me. And I said in my heart, if this be true, I will leave my father and my mother and the land of my birth, and will, if I may, go along with Christiana. So I asked her further of the truth of these things, and if she would let me go with her. For I saw now that there was no dwelling, but with the danger of ruin, any longer in our town. But yet I came away with a heavy heart, not for that I was unwilling to come away, but for that so many of my relations were left behind. And I am come with all the desire of my heart, and will go, if I may, with Christiana unto her husband and his king. Thy setting out is good, for thou hast given credit to the truth. Thou art a Ruth, who did, for the love she bare to Naomi and to the Lord her God, leave father and mother, and the land of her birth, to come out and go with a people that she knew not heretofore. The Lord bless thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. Now supper was ended, and preparation was made for bed. The women were laid singly alone, and the boys by themselves. Now when Mercy was in bed, she could not sleep for joy, for that now her doubts of missing at last were removed farther from her than ever they were before. So she lay blessing and praising God, who had had such favor for her. In the morning they arose with the sun, and prepared themselves for their departure. But the interpreter would have them tarry a while, for, said he, you must orderly go from hence. Then said he to the maid that first opened to them, take them and have them into the garden, to the bath, and there wash them, and make them clean from the soil which they have gathered by traveling. Then Innocent the maid took them and had them into the garden, and brought them to the bath. So she told them they must wash and be clean, for so her master would have the women do, women to do, that called at his house as they were going on pilgrimage. Then they went in and washed, yeah, they and the boys and all, and they came out of that bath, not only sweet and clean, but also much enlivened and strengthened in their joints. So when they came in, they looked fairer a deal than when they went out to the washing. When they were returned out of the garden from the bath, the interpreter took them, and looked upon them, and said unto them, fair as the moon. Then he called for the seal wherewith they used to be sealed that were washed in this bath. So the seal was brought, and he set his mark upon them, that they might be known in the places whither they were yet to go. And the mark was set between their eyes. This seal added greatly to their beauty, for it was an ornament to their faces. It also added to their glory and made their countenances more like those of angels. And that's the end of the reading for today. Have a good day.